Hello again, wonderful viewers. I hope I... Oh, well, I already said the start button thing. Ahem. There are a couple of things I'd like to announce here. Which adventure indeed? I just don't know. Well, one is that, considering the length of the town scenes that I'm dealing with now, I think it's better to make this town stuff as its own video, because battles take a while on their own, and so does this town stuff, and I don't want my videos to be ultra huge. Don't worry, this doesn't mean that you'll have to wait another 2 days before you see any Shining Force battles. I'll speed up the video production a little bit for this. Well, let's do that looting that I was talking about last time. That town border thing. I don't really have this problem with other towns. I also find it a little odd that there are just treasure chests lying around in a lot of places. I'm glad that's the sort of thing that people notice in this game. Okay. Thank you. So, what did they say about Rindo? I guess they never mentioned it. Sorry about the backtracking. I did forget the town layout just a little bit. So let's just rob the old man's home. Well, that's a nice find, sort of. Healing seeds are expensive, so it's nice to get one. But the healing it gives is kind of overkill for right now. The main character starts with one of those. It's not the weakest sword in the game, but it's 1 point of attack higher than the axes that my warriors are carrying. I'm not convinced it's even worth the trouble of handing it over and equipping it. Excuse me. I believe there may have been more looting to do around here. Yep, there it is. Oh, good. Now Ken can switch between those things. Very nice. Well, unfortunately, for the second time I made a mistake with my save file, so I had to redo some stuff. Not a whole lot changed. I was able to get Chris to level 4 instead of 3, however Tao fell behind, so I have to level her up next. Well, since magic pierces defense, I should be able to find the opportunities for that. Also ranged, of course. Well, I guess I learned more about Rindo than... Oh wow, I just robbed the rich guy's house too. Well, okay, maybe not rich, but obsessed with money guy's house. I'm sure he'll appreciate what I just did. Wow, so I bet just about everyone in the castle was kinda holding their breath when I walked in, or when Max walked in. I have bad news for you, Chris is almost certainly going to get hurt. Speaking of which, I'm glad they mentioned that, believe it or not, because I forgot to heal up Tao. Yeah, that's one thing that the redo has in common. Tao got KO'd. In fact, she got a sleep of death bite just before that happened, which is the main reason why she wasn't able to get anything from that last battle. Anyway, that'll give me the opportunity to show you Revival. I'm not made of money, you know. Well, that was fairly straightforward. It was a better translation than Shining Force 2, in fact. That game calls it being exhausted, but when you talk to the priest, he says, "Oh no, this character is exhausted, but I can recall the soul." Please be consistent about the way you censor your game, Sega folks. Oh, okay. This stuff would have been very handy last video. Your business was in preventing some rather vital people from doing their jobs. I don't have a small enough violin with me. Yeah, they all say that. Ironically, the defenses of this castle are probably better off now because they just gave in and surrendered to Cain when he walked in. He could probably single-handedly kill everyone here. Well, that's not useful. I guess I'll have to sort through my inventory stuff on camera. Or off camera. What did I say? Oh, that's good. Or it will be good in the future. Another thing that I don't need. I'm gonna most likely sell all these spare weapons. I'm not gonna sell that, though. As for when I'm going to use these permanent setups, well, it's a little complicated. I mentioned how the game has these values that it thinks the characters are supposed to be at, and if the randomness strays too far either way, it'll kind of correct for that. This means that the earlier you use these permanent stat boosts, the less effective they are in the long term. So, you kinda have to figure out when you're gonna need them the most. It's kind of an interesting decision now that I think about it. Instead of just defaulting to as early as possible. That being said, there is one kind of boost in Shining Force that you should never use before characters are promoted, and that's the running pimento, or turbo pepper, or whatever you want to call it. And that's because a character's movement rate on the map is just overwritten when that character promotes. So you should never use that before promotion. And yeah, there is class promotion in this game. We'll see it eventually. The power he had over you was the ability to swing his sword at you, but you know what? I guess that's close enough. I think we'd know if he had that. Get out of the way. Hey, you were like on the other side of this hallway before. It's actually a little bit interesting to me that they have such a wide range of movement, but I really need him to get out of there. Like, completely out. There. This is the dragon's head that the king was talking about. There we go. Man, that's actually not a bad event flag considering how early the game came out in the 16-bit era. So about chapter divides. Whenever this happens, you're sent to a new part of the world and you cannot go back to any of the places you've visited previous. So you better do everything that you want to do before you cross that chapter line. So while playing ahead to test some things out, I accidentally saved over that file off camera, which is why I had to redo some things. Which just goes to show I should always save my state before doing anything off camera because you never know. Anyway. This is Rindo. And there's more town stuff to do here. Oh. Things are interesting already. But before we go in there, let's take a look around elsewhere. Well, I could use some new weapons. The power staff is going to be especially handy because it'll make leveling Chris up a bit easier. Speaking of off-camera stuff, I will, much like Phantasy Star 4, do all my selling off-camera. And I'm fairly sure that is a low-risk thing to do. Saying that in a JRPG is essentially a death sentence. But I guess it's tough to tell when you're in one of those things. Especially if you're not a main character. Oh boy, the circus. I can't wait. And I bet neither can you, especially if you've played this game before. Oops. Well, this place has a theater and a circus, so... And that's the ring I was talking about that lets you adjust your turns somewhat. I'm not going to bother with that, but it's an interesting tactic to remember. Anyway, so we've learned a bit about this town already. It loves its big productions. Okay, sure. Now let's stop by that theater. I think there's going to be some interesting stuff here. Oh boy! I'd love to see that. And it's free too. The Glory of Runefaust. Oh man, I bet we're going to see plenty of nuance and things to think about in this play. And that's the play. A truly scathing indictment of the problems in our society. Arthur Miller should take notes. Let's go backstage. I bet that'll be fun. Hey, where'd that guy go? I don't see any... Oh, right, he just went to run back here. Oopsie. At the same time, I'm a little touched that Max is famous enough to be in a play already. What was the saying? All art is propaganda, but not all propaganda is art. What's weird is that this town does not really seem to be occupied by Runefaust. Yeah, I saw it. It's amazing. It's the best. My mind was open to many new ideas. Well, let's just finish the last bit of this town talking. Because... he's just dying to see the circus! Alright, so they're not occupied necessarily, but they're certainly not enemies. Probably have a working relationship of some sort if they'll sell all those ships to him. Oh, so do I. So do I. We're going to have lots of circus fun later. Well, I think that's it, and that's enough stuff for me today. Don't worry, as usual, the moment we step outside we're gonna see a battle, and there'll be plenty of battle in there, so you can look forward to that. Well... oh, don't worry, I'll be back before you know it. See you then!